So I'm going to give my thoughts here about Shawn Michaels returning to wrestling, to wrestle in a match. So it's going to be DX versus the Brothers of Destruction here at the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, which I believe is Friday, which I will not be watching, by the way, because I don't have any passion for this product anymore. I don't feel like watching anything. It doesn't matter how good it looks like. It doesn't matter how much star power is in these shows. I don't feel like watching. I got a busy life and I don't have the energy. So what's my thoughts here on Shawn Michaels returning? I really don't like it. I honestly don't like it. So I mean, he did the whole retirement match with the Undertaker about 10 or 11 years ago, and it just gets so redundant now when they say a retirement match or, I retire. Because pretty much every time a wrestler says they retire, they come back. So it's really stupid how they do that. It just doesn't feel genuine anymore. It takes away from the emotion of that match 10 or 11 years ago with The Undertaker. Because it wasn't really a retirement match. His career wasn't on the line. Because he's coming back now. I mean, it's kind of like how they did the end of the era and match like 5 or 6 years ago, or I think they did it at WrestleMania 28, so maybe a little bit more than that. But they did it, and it was the end of the era. It was epic. It was great. But then they did it again, so it wasn't really the end of an era, and it takes away from that, and it doesn't make it feel as special. Okay, so. That I don't like that aspect of it, but at least you get to see Shawn Michaels back. He is definitely talented. He's a big draw. It's a very exciting thing, and it would just seem to me the logical thing to do would to have it be a one-on-one match. But no, they do a tag team match, and yeah, DX was pretty. They're a pretty big tag team, but it's like when you think about wrestling. And you think about the big-time matches, you don't think about tag team matches. I mean, yeah, there's been some good tag team matches, but when you think of the all-time greats, you think about things like Austin versus Rock. You don't think about tag team matchups. Tag teams are secondary to the one-on-ones. So if you're going to bring somebody back like this in like a one-time epic match, it should be a one-on-one match, not a tag team match. The focus should be on Michaels and his opponent, not on 4 separate people. Secondly, this isn't a big-time pay-per-view. If you're going to have Shawn Michaels return, I guess this is the third thing I'm talking about. If you're going to have Shawn Michaels return, it shouldn't be at Crown Jewel. What the fuck is Crown Jewel? It should be at WrestleMania. Not even at SummerSlam. WrestleMania, not Crown Jewel, whatever the fuck, and it's only been built up for like a month. I mean, you could argue they built up before the last pay-per-view here, the one in forgot where, Australia or whatever. Michaels was involved, but it just doesn't feel special. They can make it feel a lot more special than this, and they could build up a little bit better. If you're going to bring somebody like Shawn Michaels back, you better make it be pretty fucking exciting. And by the way, this is just coming from my perspective here, somebody who doesn't watch wrestling anymore, somebody who doesn't even know who won between the Undertaker and Triple H match, but it doesn't get me excited. People were talking about having Shawn Michaels versus AJ Styles or Shawn Michaels versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, why don't you do something like that? Why don't you do something we haven't seen before? Why don't you do, somebody from the Attitude Era versus somebody from the present day like AJ Styles? But instead, you got 4 people from the Attitude Era whose primes were 20 years ago fighting it out. We've already seen them fight it out 20 years ago. Why don't you give us something new? Why don't you give us something unique, something nobody's seen before. We just saw Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. Not just, but we've already seen it. We've already seen Triple H versus Undertaker. We've already seen these 4 guys wrestle together. So why don't you show us something new? So I will not be watching, and I have a lot of problems with this, and it really doesn't make me it doesn't make me happy, and it just shows you how WWE fucks things up. And it shows, and it also shows too how WWE has to feed off the Attitude Era to bring in the ratings. They can't create anything new that's good. They can't create anything. They got to feed off the greatness of wrestling 20 years ago and transition the Attitude Era into today and bring back those stars in a PG version who are 20 years past their prime to draw, to get people to watch their shows, because nobody likes the current talent because the creative team's a piece of shit. So that's all I got to say about that, people. Like I said, once again, WWE fucks things up. It fucks up an opportunity for something to be great. I mean, it may still be a good match and all. You know, it still has the potential to be really good. But just the way they've built this up and everything and how this is unraveled, there's a lot of incompetency in the creative team and in the management who run this company. And you could say I'm wrong, but I'm not really wrong because I don't watch anymore. So obviously there's some incompetency if so many people aren't watching anymore. And that's just my opinion. And my opinion's right because I don't like it anymore. And that's my true opinion. So there you go, people. There's my thoughts on that.